Yeah, it really is, and it's a dynamic piece, that one, absolutely.
Now, this next painting that we're going to show, there's a theme that you were capturing, and it's something you started a long time ago.
Sure.
And so, explain this painting to us.
A lot of the work that you're seeing, as I said, I get reasonably emotional and emotively involved in what I do. One of my teachers when I went to the private boys' school was a brother, like a priest. And unfortunately he passed away last year. And he was a very devout religious man. And I would sit down and discuss theology with him and the Bible and a number of things. And I was always fascinated about him talking about the presence of God in the world, or the presence of God in nature. And as an artist, I thought, well, how can I portray God in a situation? I mean, we think about God. We think about Jesus and his existence of. But there was no physical sense for me whatsoever. So when you read the Bible, there's a burning bush. And then there's pillars of fire. And I thought to myself, the most perfect object in the universe must either be a sphere or a circle. Therefore, and a lot of these places I would go to, whether I was in Alaska or South America or India or Africa, I would sit and watch the mountains. Or I would sit and watch the sun go down. And I go, my goodness, I really am not here alone. And I put that presence in there.
You could feel.
Yeah, I put the presence of the omnipotent being in the paintings.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to switch out paintings. So you were telling me the first time you got to America was 1985.
That's correct, yeah.
And you hitchhiked across America.
That's correct, yeah. I did.
Saw a tornado in West Virginia.
That's right, yeah.
You made it through like almost every state, right? I mean, you just...
Yeah, I mean, I've gone across 3 times now. I've driven across once. I've hitchhiked across twice and met some amazing, I mean, Americans are fascinating people. They really are. And there's a great deal of enthusiasm in the way that you perceive the world as well. I think some of the closest relationships that I've made in the world are with the people that I've met in this country. I'm quite sure that a lot of them are watching this evening because I have phoned them and told them about this. But just really genuine people that were generous beyond belief, apart from their love and other things, and they really changed my existence as a person as well.
Well, just to keep the pace with the paintings, this is one of my favorites. And
yes, of course.
I love the piece you did called Mountain Color. I thought that was just amazing. This is all color here, and you were telling us a story last night about you were in Africa, and somebody who should have thought more grabbed a Jeep that didn't have enough gas, and she became dinner. Basically,
it was unfortunate. We sort of, I mean, the perspective or the precept that we have of animals in the natural world is that we see them, you know, we see Willie at Africa Marine World USA, or we see an animal on TV and we say, okay, it's okay for me to go and, interact with this. But we simply forget that these are wild, ferocious animals, and some of them are absolutely enormous. I studied the bears in Alaska many years ago, and you don't realize how large these animals actually are. They're like horses. They're huge.
Oh, and come on back over here for a second, Graeme, because when Graeme says, camera 2, when Graeme says he studies, he does. I mean, when you want to see a tiger, you go to Africa. You stake them out. You live in a tent. When you want to see a bear in Alaska, how long did you spend in Alaska?
I bought myself an RV.
Okay.
And had some great sponsorship from my dear friend Tom up in Northern California. And I went up to Alaska for quite some time and literally met people and put a backpack on and headed up into the mountains and flew beaver aeroplanes into isolated areas and landed on lakes and saw some amazing things and studied the wolves. Every time I got a chance to go to a place, it's no point in sort of saying, well, I'm going to paint a picture of an animal and not know the animal. Yeah. That you're just kidding yourself.
Well, speaking of wolves, are these inspired by Alaska?
No, these are inspired by 2 wolves I know.
You know these 2 wolves?
I know these 2 wolves.
And who are these 2 wolves?
The top one is called Lucas. This is an Arctic wolf, and the bottom one is called Alpha. And Alpha and Lucas actually live in a wolf sanctuary in upstate New York. There's 20 of them in there, and they are injured wolves. And I help to support, a lot of stuff I do helps to support other foundations. But I met these guys a couple of years ago and did some sketches of them.
Are they somewhat tame or no?
Well,
this is the same deal like Africa.
I mean,
stay away. Don't go walking up and go good.
They're in a 20-acre compound.
Okay.
And they're fenced off, and they are looked after. You know, obviously there's a breeding program going as well. The problem with wolves is that they are still a wild animal.
Well, and let me just another thing, and there's so much to talk about, Graeme. This is the foremost atlas ever done on parrots, right here, and I'll show it a little later. But this took you 9,000 hours.
That's correct.
Of work to do the complete illustrations of every different parrot you see in here. You painted every page.
Every single one.
9,000 hours.
It took me 2.5 years.
2.5 years, and to this day, this is the foremost atlas.
It is one of the largest editions that's currently on the market. My book is sold in 70 countries. It's printed in 6 languages, and it's also in the New York, London, and Paris Natural History Museums as well. Wow. Which is really cool.
And I don't want to. It makes people uncomfortable, so I got to do this as cool as I can. But Clinton's got a painting from you.
That's correct.
Steve Irwin has some painting, and there's a whole lot. Who else am I living on? There's a whole list.
I mean, I've got celebrities and sports stars that actually own a lot of my work. If we go into it, we could be here for a while. But generally, I mean, people, I think when they come to my shows, they come along expecting to see art. But I think part and parcel of the process of investing in art is knowing the artist, is being part of his life and his history or her history as well. And if they've developed a good, genuine track history, you know that you've got something that will go through your life as well.
This is a great example. When you talk about surreal, what is the story behind this?
Well, some of these paintings were designed around what happened at 9/11, funnily enough. And this particular piece, this is another model that I know in Australia. This one's called Divine Surprise. If you look at the building in the background there, it was initially a fairly surrealist idea of, you know, one of the Twin Towers. And, you know, I've developed a number of these pieces as I've gone along. But once again, getting back to the sphere representing the soul, which to me is the most perfect object in the universe, without a doubt. I mean, the planets round, the galaxies are round. So, and this one here represents an angel finding innocence again. In amongst chaos, the fire, the chaotic situation at the back, there is always good, as far as I'm concerned. You know, once again, if you look for the miserable, that's exactly what you're going to find.
That's beautiful. And wow. Now, Graeme, we got. I'm going to show one more, and this is also a delicate subject because I don't I don't want to compare full gallery retail, but
sure.
You know, like we have a painting here tonight that's similar. In some aspects to one you sold in Las Vegas for $25,000.
That's correct.
I mean, in Manhattan and up Northern California, it is not uncommon to see one of your paintings sell for 5 digits. I mean,
easily. Yeah.
It's so. I just I want to be careful because you got a lot of friends that own galleries, and you got artists have problems when they call you up and go, hey. I sold that for $17,000. He sold it for $8,000. What are you killing me?
Well, it really does balance out. I mean, part and parcel of being part of your show when you first contacted me is that it balances the situation out. I mean, the galleries obviously have to pay for their wall space.
Yeah.
But this is just an amazing medium. When I watched what you were doing, I thought, this is incredible. I mean, I've never seen...
It was funny because he called me up and goes, yeah, I'm on my sailboat, and I'm about 900 miles south of the 29th parallel, and it's like... Well, let me ask about this piece, too, really fast.
Okay. Once again, this is really part of the gentleman that was in my life, Brother Mark. And
this is amazing.
Yeah, I mean, this really is... once again, the essence of the soul going to heaven. And everybody sort of talks about angels and they talk about the divine, but we don't put a context to it whatsoever. And this is called Birth of an Angel. And once again, that birthing process is the egg. And this is 2 of my friends in Australia, their daughters. Obviously I said as I use live models, but when you're in an aeroplane and you're flying along and you look out the window and all of a sudden you see the moon at night time. Have you ever done that?
Yeah,
have you ever done that
I
and you look
love
at
it.
a plane?
Yeah.
And I always wonder myself, you know, what happens and where do people go when they pass on? And once again, I put the physical aspect into the picture, and you can obviously see